Thanks for checking out this video. I'm Joe Slegel, a marketing consultant that's been working with GoldMine for about 30 years. The current release of GoldMine is version 2024.4, and it's available to anyone current on maintenance or who wants to get current on maintenance. But if you haven't heard by now, GoldMine, which is owned by Avanti, has been moved to Avanti's Extended Products Group, and that happened in May 2023, which means it's in maintenance mode. And my clients and prospects are always asking me what this means. So I thought I'd share an update. So I thought the best way to take you through this information would be first of all, tell you a little bit about why I'm doing this update. And in doing so, I'll tell you the status of the product as of May 1st, 2023, which I already mentioned, the Extended Products Group. The status of the product as I know it as of January 6th this year. And then really what it means to you, a little bit about what it means to me. And then we can talk about whether or not it's time to evaluate alternatives or when you might want to consider doing that. So why the update? As I said at the beginning, as I just said on the last slide, May 2023, the product went into this extended or this maintenance mode, extended products group. And there's been a general lack of information since then. But, it's my opinion that users need to know this information. I've been sharing it with customers since the beginning. And I get the question a lot now, when should I change? What do you recommend? But here's the other thing. I want and need to know myself, right? Goldmine's the only CRM uh, I've represented since about 95, 96, 97. And you know, I've had to think about the future of my business, whether or not I want to partner with another CRM and what that CRM might be and what my role in migrating might be. So even if I'm not representing another CRM, you need to realize I've worked with several and data is really what I work with. So, I can provide a support role in selection and migration. So I've said a couple times now, maintenance mode, extended products group. So what is that? What does that mean? So first of all, it wasn't just GoldMine, right? The parent company Avanti produces a whole suite of security and endpoint products, endpoint management products. And in on May 1st, 2023, I went back and counted. There were 9 products that were moved into that status. Wasn't just GoldMine. And the products in the extended product group have a status of new quotes prohibited, which means I can't sell to a customer that doesn't already have GoldMine. However, this doesn't affect volume opportunities. However, no one's come to me wanting 50 to 100 seats of GoldMine these days. To be frank, there's just other choices in that space. But if you have any version of GoldMine, even GoldMine 2.5 for DOS, which was the release of the product when I started working with it, you can upgrade. So this has, no bearing on anyone that has GoldMine already and wants to get current. It also has no impact on maintenance renewals. So if you're on if you have the product now, and your maintenance is coming due, I would suggest renewing it because they are still releasing updates. There is continued maintenance and support. What there is not going to be are new features. So it's been in maintenance mode for nearly 2 years now. And like I said, my customers are asking me what the future looks like. I want to know what the future looks like. So in December, I called support and asked a question. I asked for a product update. I asked some questions about maintenance and maintenance renewals, and a couple other things I wanted to know as a partner. And during that call, I was told that Avanti was still selling 1, 2, and 3-year maintenance renewals. And as a result of that inquiry, the support rep I spoke with set up a meeting with a couple of representatives from the product. So I had this meeting, right? And uh, if you know Bob Seger and you know the song's still the same, everything is pretty much still the same. It's still new quotes prohibited. It's still upgrade from any version. Maintenance renewal is still not affected. There's continued maintenance and support. And like I said, volume opportunities, they're not jumping down my throat right now. The only other changes that have occurred in those last 2 years is there's very straightforward pricing now, if you, which I'll go through in a minute here, and there's no longer a partner of record. So in the past, when you purchase GoldMine or if you switch partners, we'd have you fill out a partner of record form, and there's no longer any official partner of record. You can work with any GoldMine partner out there. So I mentioned the straightforward pricing, and the pricing is set by Avanti, and this is the matrix they will send me if I ask for pricing on behalf of someone. If you're running an old version and want to get current, it was $500 a seat and $153 a year maintenance. Now, my understanding is there was a maintenance increase at the first of the year. I don't think it's applied to uh, getting current. I think it only applies to the renewal. But if you're interested in that, I will get a formal quote and let you know. So if you need to add seats, then the pricing again is straightforward. There's a price for 1 or 2 seats, a price for 3 to 4 seats, and a price for 5 or more. And your maintenance is always prorated. It's always been that way. So there are no more discounts from Avanti. I can't go and get special pricing for anyone. If I can offer a discount out of my margin, which isn't very much, I will do that. Now, the only other thing in there is you may be a customer that has lapsed on maintenance, but you still have the product. So the question is, do you upgrade or how does that work? Can I just pay my maintenance and get reinstated? Well, you have to pay your back maintenance, the upcoming year of maintenance, and then there's usually a 10% penalty, which is usually waived. And the time period there is usually about 3 years. If you've let your maintenance go for about 3 years or less, you get current with it. If it's been longer, then you purchase an upgrade. And again, all that's confirmed at the time of purchase. So if the product is still available, then the next question would be, what's compatibility look like with things that are out there today? Well, when you every time an update's released, the compatibility matrix is updated, and the information on this slide comes straight from the compatibility matrix. We support operating systems all the way back to 2011 up to 2019, workstation operating systems from Windows 7 to Windows 11. And you'll see there's some caveats on there with the browsers because some of the newer browsers don't work on those older machines. And then on the SQL side, you have everything from SQL 2012 to SQL 2022. And that's all versions, but it's also on premise. It doesn't run on SQL as a service. It doesn't run on something other than Microsoft SQL Server. That's the default flavor. So then below that, you see Microsoft Office. And on the Office side, it's compatible with everything from 2010 all the way through 2021 within Office 365. And I know whatever the latest is in 365 works. And again, there's some caveats there that you need to pay attention to. First of all, this Office compatibility is for the GoldMine Plus features for Word, Excel, and Outlook, and then the newer GoldMine Link for Outlook. But there are some caveats here, like if you purchase Office through the Microsoft App Store, it's not going to be compatible. Now, that's not very common. I don't even know if they still do that, but I believe that was the traditional license that you just purchased electronically instead of the perpetual license, the ongoing license. And if you want to use 64-bit Office, there's a couple things related to functionality that won't work, like the Outlook GoldMine synchronization and the GoldMine address book for Outlook. But as you can see, everything else is pretty compatible. Last thing on the Outlook integration is the new Outlook, which you see in the upper right-hand corner if you have Outlook, is not compatible. And that's the web-based version of Outlook. And again, on the GoldMine Connect side, you have the same thing. The server operating systems go back to Small Business Server 2011 to Windows Server 2022. And then for the workstation, that really should say client, there's the GoldMine web client runs on mobile browsers, desktop browsers. And if you haven't used GoldMine Connect, it's included with GoldMine Premium Edition. It's the web client that ships with it. All right, so what does all this mean? I just showed you that it's compatible all the way back from Windows Server Operating Systems 2011 to 2022. I just told you that maintenance is still going to be available for 3 years, right? So what does all this mean, right? So this is really important here. These are my words. This is my take. This is my opinion, right? Joe's opinion. I have no insider information. Pretty much anything I know, I've shared in this video, and pretty much anything I've said has been said to others as well. So here's what I think. If they're selling 3-year maintenance agreements, we have 2025, 26, 27. Chances are maybe another year, 2028. So then some. So how long is then some, right? So to me, I would say the product is in pre-sunset mode. I mean, if I can't go out and sell new customers because its life is limited, then its life is limited. I mean, how would your business react if I said you can't go out and sell to any new customers? You only have anybody who's owned a product that you've produced before or a product like yours that's been produced before. Yes, there's a market, but it's finite. Well, when these products were moved into that extended products group, one of the comments that was made is they were being moved there because they would require a rewrite for future changes in the Windows architecture, the underlying Windows framework that Microsoft's been talking about for a long time. So if you go out and look at the Windows servers that are out there right now, the last one that was on the compatibility list was Windows Server 2022. Its end of life is 2031. Windows Server 2025, which became available in November, its end of life is 2034. Now, it's not on the compatibility matrix because that matrix was published before 2025. And I don't think I have any clients running on it, so I don't know if it's compatible. But the other thing is, there's only so many customers out there on maintenance. If you're not bringing in new customers, at some point there will be a dip in maintenance renewals, and it's not going to be worth keeping the product updated. But I think if there are 3-year agreements out there, then you're looking at product releases through 2027, probably through 2028, and sometime in that 2027-2028 timeframe, we'll hear something about the future of the product. So I want to take what I just talked about with end of life and talk about that a little more. I went back, and I'm going to look at my other screen while I do this. I went back to the compatibility matrix, and then I pulled up the Microsoft end of life schedule, and I went through the operating systems and SQL Server, and I added some dates there. And in most cases, there are 2 dates, and the first date is when mainstream support ended. So they stopped doing updates to the product. Take SQL 2016, for example. On January 13th, 2021, they stopped releasing updates. However, it has extended support until July 14th, 2026. So that means it's still going to get security updates. There's not going to be any more service packs or things like that. But go back up to the servers for a minute and look at that. If you're running Windows Server 2012, security updates ended in 2023. Now, if there's some underlying technology like .NET framework or something that has a security update, you'll still usually get that through the Windows update. But the server itself does not get security updates to the kernel or anything like that anymore. Uh, then on the workstation side of things, Windows 7, Windows 8, I know there are still people out there today using that. And that's fine. GoldMine will still run on it. But what you really need to ask yourself in these situations is it goes beyond GoldMine. It's you're running not just the operating systems that are outdated, but they're usually running on hardware that's almost just as old. So, those are the things as a business owner you want to be concerned about. So, everyone always asks two questions. When should I look at alternatives and what should I switch to? Well, there's no easy answer for either one. So, when should you look at alternatives? Look now, look later. But the main thing is look when you're ready to act. Uh, You have to be ready to do something about it when you're done looking and you find something that you might be interested in. But when I say wait until you're ready to act, do not wait until the last minute. If you have fewer than 10 users, you're going to need at least a month to look, probably 2 to 3 months to migrate. If you have 10 to 25, maybe 30 users, you're probably going to need 6 months. You're going to need 1 to 3 months just to go through the selection process because it's going to involve other members of your team, not just you. And you're going to need another 1 to 3 months to migrate. So the point is, look when you're ready to do something about it because there are hundreds, if not thousands, of software packages that help you manage your contacts. In 2017, there were at least 365 CRM programs out there, one for every day of the week, right? Plus, you have vertical solutions, you have MRP and ERP software with CRM modules or components, right? It's not about features. It might turn out to be about price, but you have to find products that match your business process and how you use CRM software that are friendly to your senses and the way you want to work and the things that are important to you. So it brings up some questions there. Who is going to look for you, right? Because you can hire someone like me that'll go out and there's a lot of things you need to do there. You need to understand how you use the program. You need to understand your user mix, sales versus customer service, right? Because some products have role-based pricing that have different mixes of features for different roles. And so then it comes price because price is all over the board. If you're going to evaluate products internally, right, then you want to go down. And if you're a smaller organization, you can go out, narrow down the field, maybe pick one yourself. But if you're a larger organization, you're probably going to want to get representation involved from the different disciplines like sales and customer service. Then there's migration, right? Some products are sold through partners, some aren't. Some give you all the information you need quite easily for migration, some you got to dig around. But who's doing it? What are you going to migrate? It's not just contacts because most newer programs have account objects, right? So chances are if you're using GoldMine, you don't have account records, you have contact records. Then there's all that history, email, your existing calendar. What are you migrating? And then when, right? And it's in the next bullet also timing, right? When do you want to start paying for something new? Because a lot of them are per user per month, but you pay for the first year up front. And when you go out and you plop down money for something new, you want to start loading it and using it as soon as you can, right? And then the next question, how? Or the next point, how? How long are you going to give it for user adoption? How long are you going to leave your old system up? Maybe run parallel systems? You know, there's other hows too. Not it's going to be how are you going to set up that new system? How's it going to affect the way you work day to day? How's it going to affect the reports that you're pulling each week now? How are you going to access it? phone, browser? Is it a client? Is it server based? Is it cloud? How are you going to train your new employees? Right? And then the next bullet, timing, and I already spoke a little bit about timing, but there's a lot of timing considerations because that's really what it's all about. I said, first of all, look when you're ready to do something, uh, because you don't really want to start going down this road until you're getting ready to move. It's a process. You depend on your CRM every day, and anyone out there's got probably at least 10 gigs of data, maybe 100 or more gigs of data, and it's not like you're going to load that in a system and try it out for 30 days and then decide you don't like it. So if you're a lot of apps have trials anywhere from 7 days, 14 days, some as long as 90 days, right? So you can get in there and play with it and understand it so you can use it in the future if you're going to go that route. And then your timing is going to need to depend on budget, right? I can tell you, and let's talk about budget in general here. I can tell you from the clients that have gone out and migrated, uh, the smaller organizations, I mean, they are spending easily $250 to $500 per user for that first year. And I'm talking about not just the software costs, but fees and whatnot. And larger installs, 400 as high as $1,000 per user to get up and move. So if you have uh, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. 250 to 500 for larger, and the smaller are 400 to 1,000. So if you have, 10 users out there, and you're going to move to a new cloud application, you may be spending, a couple hundred per user per year on the software. And when you look at your migration costs, you might have another 300, 400 per user for that first year. I'm not saying it scales per users. It depends what you're migrating. It depends how much work there is. It depends what platform it is. It depends how many user defined fields you have. It depends on whether you use opportunities and projects and email and cases and GoldMine or you just use the contacts. It depends on a lot of things. But the bottom line there is you need to have a budget in mind for not just uh, uh, for evaluating products, for the product itself, and for the services. And then because at the end of the day, there's nothing but cost, 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 right? Now, does that mean there are savings too? Well, the savings are going to be a little softer. And I say that because for most GoldMine users, you went out there and bought the product 20 years ago, and maybe you've been paying your maintenance, which now I hear is $179 per user per year. But and a lot of you find that expensive, but most of the products out there are going to cost you a couple $100 per user per year or more. You're going to have sticker shock over this. It's not like you're going to go out and get something cheap and be able to load it yourself over the weekend and go out and use it the next day. It's a process. So like I said, I usually get two questions. When should I go out and look or what would you recommend? Well, I can't recommend one. I can tell you what the popular alternatives are and the things you're going to want to go out and look at. And like, I'll just read this list: Salesforce, Zoho One, Sugar, Microsoft Dynamics, HubSpot, Creatio's a newer one, and Odoo. And, and then there's whatever else you hear about. So there's a lot of different choices out there. And I went through and I was going to try to put together, and maybe I'll do this in a future presentation, but I was trying to put together a little summary of pricing for each of them and whatnot. And you know what? It's just not a straight up apples to apples comparison. You need to go and look. I mean, Microsoft Dynamics has a 61-page pricing guide, right? Their pricing guide alone is 61 pages because there are so many components. Creatio has a per user charge, but then there's a platform charge. So you cannot just, I can't just recommend one. But the biggest reason I can't recommend one is on the next slide. The reason I can't recommend one easily is because CRM is customer relationship management. It's not about the software. It's about your data your business, your process, your customers, your products, whether or not you support them, whether or not you sell through distributors, whether you sell direct to end users. There are all kinds of considerations. They all do the basics the same. Most are cloud-based, but each application may have some feature or some piece of functionality or some integration or some capability that is more appropriate to you. It may be more appropriate to your user mix. There's no one answer. There might be one answer, but there's no one answer for everyone. There's one answer for you or a couple answers for you that you need to go out and find. With that, I'll wrap it up. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, jslagle at plateaumarketing.com. Plateaumarketing.com is the website. josieslagle.com is my personal website. Please reach out to me and let me know if I can help. See you soon.